Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Carl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Carl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, with none other than the man, the myth, the rhyming magician, Carl Bryan. Welcome to the show, Shoots.
Shoots. Okay, we got to tell him. You got to tell him. Ask me that again so everybody can hear how amazing that was.
So KB has this incredible talent of when he's missing something, he'll just say it rhymes with the actual thing that he's talking about. So it's kind of amazing. So he said, oh, it rhymes with microphone. And I said, well, what actually rhymes with microphone?
And then I said, psychrophone.
Because that's a thing.
Yeah.
Look it up. That just happened. So there you go. And judging by the lack of comments, I don't think anybody else has anything that rhymes with microphone.
That was way funnier the first time. But anyway.
You know what? I'll take it the second time around as well. Just so you know, it was a good joke. It was a good joke.
It was funny. Anyway, what's going on, Chits? Hit me.
Well, I know we got to jump in here pretty quick. Time is money, as they say. I've heard that before. I think more than once. And by the way, I just finished listening to The Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Excellent book, by the way. Excellent book. Yep. I'm sure you read that multiple times.
I don't know about multiple times, but I have certainly read it a long time ago, by the way. And I know, T. Harv Eker, actually. So someone which is Andrew Barber Starkey, no secret, but him and I are in close contact. In fact, I spoke to him not long ago. He actually wrote T. Harv Eker's, actually, you know what? No, I'm supposed to, you know what? Somebody who used to be very, very close with T. Harv Eker. I'm very close with him. He's an absolute ripping human being. I love him to death. And he speaks incredibly highly of T. Harv Eker's talents. So there you go. And they had a coaching program together. So there you go.
Are they still doing those millionaire mindsets? I'd hook a brother up. I'd like to.
No, but I don't think so.
It's what was interesting. I'll just real quick before I pivot to the first question, because again, the first question is all about personalities, and he talks a lot about the different personalities and or mindsets, if you will, between the rich and the poor. And it's the and or mindset was the one that really stuck out to me, right? It's like, well, you can't have this and that. I've got to choose that or that. Nice. And he's like, no. The rich just go, well, I can actually have both.
That and that. Yes. I can have the boat and the car and the holiday versus the average is thinking, or is that, I love it. I think that's a great takeaway. And I would say that separates the average from the elite quite possibly. Nice. Anything else?
Well, that just, it was more like to me, it's like you can have the lifestyle and the business. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like that was a big one for me. That one really, really, really stuck.
When you were to hit me and say, what's the takeaway and I still remember it. It's the thermostat, right? So you have a financial thermostat. So what happens is, let's just say somebody's used to having a bank balance arbitrarily of 50 grand. Okay. So you got a bank balance of 50 grand of liquid cash in and out. You're really comfortable. Well, you go from 50, you all of a sudden hit 70. And guess what they do? They buy the big screen TV. They go on a holiday. And where do they end up? Back at their the level that they're comfortable with, 50 grand. Or on the flip side, if they're used to 50, and arbitrarily you might be at 20 and you might, whatever, right? If you're at 50 grand and then suddenly you drop to 30 grand, guess what? You step it up, you take a second job, you start being more frugal, you start saving money, you make an extra sale. You know what I mean? You do something to get where? Back to where your thermostat is comfortable, and that is 50 grand. So the lesson is that you've got to have a look. Like anybody listening here, if you want a test of this, and I believe this is straight out of the book, you've had the same bank balance for probably the last 5 years. It's kind of weird, right? But you go, oh my God, he's right. So what you've got to do is you've got to jack up your thermostat. You got to set, look, Tony Robbins would say, you got to set a higher standard as the solution. And if you do, but you really got to own it, you really got to buy into it, you really got to, potentially, rebuild your skills, et cetera, or certainly rebuild your habits. So anyways, I love the financial thermostat. I thought that was just, it was crazy, man. I was like, because again, speak to somebody that had the same bank balance for 5 years, and that scares them. They're like, holy cow, wow.
Okay, how do you adjust it though?
Okay, it's habits, skill sets. You know what I mean? Like you got to go back. If you are used to, like I go shopping. Do you know what I mean? And like my wife will look at the price of cheese, and I'm just not looking at the price of cheese. Do you know what I mean? I grab the cheese, throw it in, and then I go next. You know what I mean? Like, so what I would need to do, that's a horrible example, but no doubt a nice dummied down one, where I have got to change my skill sets. If I was going to become the person that started spending, 20% less per month on groceries in order to take that 20% and then, stockpile it on my, in my investment, in my bank balance, et cetera, to build up my net worth over a long period of time, I would have to change my habits. I'd have to change my level of thinking. Like, okay, so, and we've said this in the podcast different times, right? But like the ultimate wealth hack, the ultimate business hack is not a tactic. It's not a higher level strategy. It's a higher level of thinking, right? Shoots, you just nailed it a minute ago. A higher level of thinking is and instead of or. But before you can get the higher level thinking, you actually have to realize that you've got the or mindset versus the and. You know what I mean? So that's the answer is skill set, habits, which ultimately the ultimate is a higher level of thinking, which again, we could, there'd be a number of examples there, but and over or would be how you'd get there. And that was a big takeaway from you for the book, by the way, which is not a surprise. Because I think that's one of the best things to come from the book, higher level thinking. And that's where you're at in life, right?
I think what's fascinating is, as you said, you've got to own it, right? In terms of if you're going to be this person that has that higher balance, you got to own that. And that's one thing I learned from a buddy of mine, Seth Ellsworth. He's just like, it's all like if you take on the identity of whatever that is. So it's like, well, if you're now going to be an athlete, guess what? And you take on the identity of an athlete. Well, you're going to take on, how does that athlete eat? How do they train? They do it differently than the weekend warrior. You know what I mean? Like, so you own that identity of that, and I think that's probably very similar, if I'm not mistaken.
Higher, again, going. So what you said. So instead of going to manage how much you spent on cheese, right? You go to your identity. Right. And that's what it's not a strategy. It's not a tactic. It's not a habit that will get you there. Although those are critical. You start with the identity and then when you start going to the gym, what happens? You start eating. People are always surprised. Well, I've been going to the gym and I found I'm eating healthier. Yeah. Don't be surprised by that. You know what I mean? It's like the person that goes to the gym eats healthier. So you're going significantly higher than that, than going to identity. For the males listening, the guys, I tell you again, my big bro committed suicide when I was 16 years old. So unfortunately, I know a little too much about this, but I can tell you that if you introduce me to a young man who commits suicide, and frankly, an old man who commits suicide, it can be some, and everybody around is going, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. This is crazy. It just doesn't make sense." There's one word that will make sense of it, and that is identity. That's it. So okay, that's in a not the most positive light, in a very, very, very positive light, go to your identity. You know what I mean? Like, go to your identity. Who are you? What kind of impact are you going to have on the world? Like, we have that shoots with our local legends program, right? You basically go in, you do 10 events over 10 weeks is the crux of the program. And what happens, and we talk it like the way and the name of the program is Local Legends for a reason, because guess what happens when you are the guy or the gal, you've experienced this, who does the live event at the chamber every Tuesday, 7 a.m., come hell or high water, hurricane, rainy, snowstorm, you are there presenting. If there's one person, 3 people, 30 people, or 300 people, they all get your magic, right? You become, the identity is, I'm going to be the person who delivers this event every Tuesday, hell or high water, with consistency, and I will become that individual that people come to rely on to get good, solid business advice. Here's the kicker, for free. Don't worry about whether or not they buy from you, which of course is the idea. But I can tell you the higher level thinking, the identity level of it is that you're going to become the person that is going to curve local business failure stats. As an example, how are you going to do that? Well, education. What education? Well, business, you understand our software. We got 12 areas: upsell, downsell, cross-sell, proper upfront offer, a market dominating position, cutting costs, etc. If you go to those 12 areas with small little pathetic improvements, okay, the impact, we talked about it on the pre-show, right? Like, the impact is absolutely insane. So instead of trying to hit a home run in digital marketing, they hit 12 singles in 12 different areas with 3%, 3%, 3, instead of a 30% impact, a 50% impact, a 10x impact, a 100% impact. You do a 3% impact in all 12 areas, and you look at their P&L, you look at their financials, so you look at the profitability of the company, and it literally blows your mind, right? Well, that's what you educate people on at the event. And then what do you think happens? And Road Dog, you've lived this for an extended period of time. People reach out and say, hey, will you help me do X, Y, Z? And then they refer 2 people to your next event. So now lead generation, you get 10 people, you get 20 referrals to the next event. Are all 20 people going to come? Probably not. But if your goal is to have 10 people, and it should be, you don't want 25 because your follow-up will suck, assuming you don't have a bunch of staff. So if you have 10 people, if 4 people are already coming through referrals, the closer you are to the finish line, the faster you go. It's so much easier to get 6 people when you've already got 4 than when you've got 0 trying to build up to 10. What did I just say? Your identity needs to become the person that does this off referral only. Like, Road Dog, when I used to do the local live events, my goal was not money. It wasn't assessments. It was 2 referrals per person. That was it. Because I knew next week, what's the hardest thing that was going to happen? The most expensive thing that was going to happen was getting more people. So I did. And then think of what happens to compounding effect. I do 1 event, I got 20. I do 2 events, I got 40. I do 3 events, I've got 60. I do another event, I got 80, 100, 120. And by the way, I could also multiply those by 3 with a slight little tweak that I won't bore you with now. The bottom line is, that's the roadmap. That I got there with 1 word: identity. Become and own it. And the person who goes down to the chamber and books 10 events over the next 10 weeks and whips out their credit card and hands to the gal at the front, your identity immediately strengthens when you do that, when you decide. Remember, what saying no is a decision, saying yes is a responsibility. This becomes a responsibility that you need to see through, and your identity is that when you set a responsibility, when you set a commitment, you follow through on it. I don't know. How'd I do, Shoots? I kind of got
It's so funny. I'm just listening to this and my mind's just racing right now, because you take on the identity of, because I've been doing a ton of events lately, and I'm not stopping, right? Like, I'm not going to quote Wolf of Wall Street here, but I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. Like my 50th birthday party. There you go, Shoots.
But all I'm thinking about is, okay, well, what other piece can I add? Like, the crazy part is, I've literally, for the past while, I haven't even done the workbook. I've just done the Prezi, and that's it. Like, well, you know what I'm going to do for my next one this Thursday? I'm going to have the workbooks there for them. Like, it's just, all I'm thinking about now is I've taken on the identity. No, this is how I acquire clients. So how can I do it better next week?
Okay, may I jump in there? Which, because I don't know, but I just want to make sure for the benefit of everybody listening, right? The higher level identity, which I know you have this, but I want to jump in as a hack, right? This is how you get clients, but that's, strategy tactic. The identity level is that you are going to protect, look after, nurture, care for the local business community. And if it has anything to do with you, the stats are going to, 180 dramatically and soon as a result of you educating every single business owner in the entire frickin' city, no matter what it takes. You know what I mean? So that guy will not show up without a workbook under any circumstances. Why? Because they get more value when they have a workbook. And then the next level is to make the workbook frickin'. If they come to your presentation, take home the workbook, they never need to pay you 5 cents and their life could change positively. That again is a higher level. But you and I both know the more value, the more referrals, the more X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean? So and again, I want to make sure I'm not, that I'm not speaking directly to you there, but I wanted to jump in on that's the identity. That's the hack. That's it. It's higher level thinking, higher level identity, right? Being the protector of business owners and community is very different than being a successful business coach making a few $100,000 a year.
And I realize we're completely off track and haven't addressed a single question yet, but here's sort of what I've been thinking about, and I want to get your thought on it actually, because I think it's a valuable piece, because I've now taken on the identity of what my favorite meeting that I have with clients, Carl, is you get a lead, walk me through everything that happens from there all the way to, let's say you're a service provider, right? Let's say you're whatever, what doesn't matter, HVAC, and you're doing an install. So the install is done and the invoice is paid and you're walking away. Walk me through that entire client journey. So I love that. And I'm really, really, really good at adding additional value for my clients in that. Now, I've actually had the crazy thought last week that somehow I provide them some sort of stamp of approval that clients and just consumers know that they've gone through my training. So it's going to be a top level experience for them. Is that just my ego getting the best of me? Or is that almost like a little trademark road dog approved sort of thing? You know what I mean?
Well, so you're defining certification, right? Yeah. If you didn't have a niche, if I'm going to the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, I don't know. So you could do, so Sandler Sales would have this, right? So you can be a salesperson, go to Sandler Sales, get certified, and then on the bottom of your emails and on your business card, for the rest of your life, you'll be able to say you're Sandler Sales certified. I got no idea what it's called, right? So, but I want the niche is like these are salespeople. If you were like an accountant, I don't think, you know what I mean, that there's a lot of value in you becoming, in fact, debatably, that's something you wouldn't want to put in front of your clients because they'd be like, you're an accountant, man. Why are you Sandler Sales approved? It's scaring me. Right. So I would see you niching down certification, there's another conversation, accreditationalizing. Hang on. Anyway, I'm messing it up, but at the end of the day, because there's a level to then provide you, like there's the credentials and then there's credentializing and then there's the certification. There's some different levels when you understand the education system that you'd go play with there to get the certification that would actually mean something, credentializing it. Right. Let's not muddy the waters. I would go, like you could do it in digital marketing as an example. Right. So there's digital marketing the same way I did with Sandler, digital marketing, and I think that works for you. But if we're going butcher, baker, candlestick maker, you got to create something like MasterCard, right? And then all of a sudden we accept MasterCard. Anyways, do you know what I mean? So it's a different niche it, and then you could build the certification.
Got it. So we're talking a lot about personalities. So can you guide your clients' like whatever based on their personality? Do you guide them in a certain way? And to tag on to that, is there a personality type that you think is better suited to being successful in business over others?
Personality type. Well, there's the science behind this, frankly, which I don't know. I just know there's science behind it. Shoots.
Not a scientist, folks, not a scientist.
People, anyways, the most successful people are conscientious. This is fact. But I say that, what does that mean? I mean, if you don't know what conscientious means, you're probably not conscientious, by the way. You might want to, go dig deep. But your word means something. You are analytical. You are structured. You are detail orientated. Difference. Genius. The geniuses come in all shapes and sizes, right? Like my father, who is not far away right now from me, but he teases himself. He has an IQ that is what is it? Very superior is like his IQ. But at the end of the day, methodic. And by the way, he's not a genius. Not saying that. But he has a very high IQ. And what you're going to find is he thinks very methodically. And what I was trying to say a second ago is a genius come in all shapes and sizes, and they are all methodical thinkers. Okay, so think engineer. Okay, you're not an engineering is what? It's fancy math. Okay, I don't need to meet an engineer to know that they're not an orderly thinker, right? So I think I did a really bad job of that defining conscientious. You're the person. Things are easy to start, hard to finish, right? The conscientious individual is going to follow through, right? Remember, you're going to be remembered in life for what you refuse to give up on. So I dare say that the conscientious individual will have a better shot at being remembered for the thing that they want to be remembered for, like that thing that they refuse, that thing like we were talking about, becoming a protector of local business owners and their stats and their ability to be profitable. So I think the conscientious individual will have a better shot, right? And again, like the conscientious individual would naturally, and this is Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett 101, no is a decision and yes is a responsibility, right? When you think of it in that black and white term, I think that you suddenly become significantly more comfortable saying no. Because why? Because yes is not a decision. Yes is a responsibility, but no is a decision, right? Maybe to complement that, the personality. I don't know. This is not a personality type, but no doubt you guys like. What I want to say is the type of person that acts needing nothing attracts everything. In fact, in my personal profile, I wrote this in a Facebook post, and my buddy Spike Humor. Shout out to Spike Humor, good buddy for like almost 2 decades. He used to be Abraham's COO back in the day when Jay Abraham was going to the moon. So Spike Humor, good bud. So he took that and then posted it on my personal Facebook page to say, this is really, really good, right? So what I said in a longer post is needing nothing attracts everything. I think it's one thing to pretend like that's you. I think there's people that would like to become that, but they're absolutely people that just don't care, right? It is what it is. It's going to be fine. Just listen to any interview with Charlie Munger, and I think that he embodies that. He doesn't need to say it, that he just embodies it. And of course, it's a little easier when, late, great Charlie Munger. But, when you're worth, billions and billions, maybe it's a little easier to be that individual. But I dare say he got there, that attitude long before the money came. So anyways, let me just say this. And I've said this many times, but the quieter, reserved types are often more successful than the flashy, extroverted folks, right? Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Michael Dell, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg. They're kind of quietly natured. You just got to watch out. And I know none of them personally, right? Just watch an interview and tell me that this is not a soft-spoken, quiet type individual. But I'll tell you this, they're silent killers in business. Now what I want to do is I want you to go to your Facebook page and look at the people that you're following. And I think that you're going to find you are following the extroverted types, and then you're not following the introverted types. And of course, I could be wrong. And I dare say it's not that I hope that I'm wrong, but what I hope is that you're following individuals not because of their flamboyant, really extroverted, dogmatic, you know what I mean? Their personality type of being exuberant. I dare say, and by the way, this is the science and the stats say it, that the quiet or reserved type that isn't going to find, you're not going to find them, waffling on your Facebook page, might be the better person to follow, right? So, and by the way, though, you have a client. Don't, what I'm not suggesting is that you should take that loud extrovert and then have them become the nerdy analytical accountant, right? Like that's not what I'm saying. Like, you have to be yourself, that's for sure. But in the interest of mastery, small improvements one day at a time. That flashy person that is not a good leader, not a good manager, not very organized, get them a little bit better, 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 understanding that the most successful people in the world are conscientious. And conscientious is, again, orderly. Things are easy to start, hard to finish. The conscientious are the people that, follow through and finish. That last, in pitching, you got a guy that gets you up to the seventh inning, and then you got a couple other guys who come in with cleanup, right? Being able to, go from, first to ninth inning, which is it's hard to do. Like, what I'm describing is very rare individuals. So that's what and read the book, The Outsiders, a bit, not The Outsiders as in Pony Boy and Soda Pop. Love that movie, by the way. Almost named my daughter Soda Pop. True story. True story. My wife still laughs about it. My daughter even, she's like, oh my heavens. If you would have named me Soda Pop, I wouldn't be speaking to you, Dad. But anyway, so love that movie. That's not the book that I'm talking about. I'm talking about The Outsiders. It's a business book. And what it suggests is that there's a lot of the killer CEOs that provide unbelievable return on capital invested are quiet, reserved types like Bezos and Zuckerberg, not the guys who want to get in front of the microphone. As an example, Jack Welch. Jack Welch never, not a microphone or a camera that he didn't want to get in front of. And by the way, did, debatably a bang up job. But I can tell you that the stats say something different in terms of his greatness. He was better to follow than he was in actuality. And by the way, you read it and you make your decision, or you form your own opinion there. But that's what it says. So again, Jack Welch, if any of his relatives are listening, I'm sorry, right? But great guy, but just maybe not as good as what his publicity might have provided. I'm going to move on. Anyways, it's like me personally. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I've been working on my leadership and my management styles and my ability to, build like a 36 staff ripping around, and I am not a natural manager at all, but just try to get a little bit better. A little bit better at what I do is, again, try to put the right people in the right seats and leave them alone. Talented people, hire them with skills, get out of their way. But I'll tell you this, anybody can be great, partly because so many people play at such a low level. And then I would also say partly because it's within us all, including me, including Road Dogg, and definitely including you. So you need to know what motivates you. Like, generally speaking, Jordan Peterson will talk. Actually, okay, personality types. Jordan Peterson talks about it, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to nail them all, but he says that, like, there's people that are open, right? So they want to engage and create activity. There's a neurotic individual, and they want security. They're extroverted. They want to have lots of friends and lots of people around them. There's people that are agreeable, right? An intimate relationship will be good for them. There's people that are disagreeable, and these people want to compete and they want to have competitions, right? And if there's a local X, like they want to compete. So there's, like, and I think there's a couple others, but again, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but no doubt that gives you a little bit of an idea as to where does your client, where do you fit and where does your client fit in those? And I want to, so I don't know, that's the best I can do. I can't remember the others. That's Jordan Peterson 101, by the way. But importantly, if I were to lean my client, when I answer this question, if I were to lean my client, choose my client, lean my client in a specific area, I'm going with a conscientious individual. And again, think Zuckerberg, Bezos, Gates, someone who's really going to follow through, because the science, or, the math, the data says that these guys are more successful on average. And I would assume that you want a coaching client that crushes it, and you want to have a contingency, play in place. You want to be making a lot of money, with and for them, and have them pay you a lot and do it with a smile. Look for conscientious individuals. How'd I do, Shoots? What do you agree?
Yeah, well, it's the saying goes, you sell the way that you like to be sold, right? So my question to you is, do you attract the type of clients that sort of match your own personality, you think?
Yes, yes, and yes. Okay. So if you suck at paying your bills, you attract, this is not my opinion. Once again, there is science of which I don't know where to go and point you towards finding it, but it is there with 100% certainty, with, MIT, Harvard level stats, that if you want to know, you just look at, your ideal client. Just look in the mirror, and your ideal client is you 5 years ago. So I want you to look in the mirror, right? Put yourself in a time machine and go back 5 years. You're disorganized, motivated, sales type in the healthcare industry. When you get a hold of that individual, you're going to be able to guide them at an insanely high level very easily, right? And then, by the way, when you're picking your mentors, and ironically enough, I just spoke to my dad about this literally last night. I'm like, Dad, you don't want a mentor who's 20 years ahead of you. You want a mentor who is 5 years ahead of you. And you want it to be somebody who you want to fundamentally become, and a path that you want to blaze, a trail that you want to be on. So the answer is yes. If you are disorganized, you will attract disorganized people. If you are highly organized, you will attract organized people. And not to mention just attract them, but then keep them, right? Like if you're highly disorganized and you're working with somebody who's super organized, this might need to be a little red arrow you are here, where you're going to realize that this is the case, and you two are going to need to have an understanding to be able to come together and work well together. So that's yes, yes, and yes. If you are super judgmental, you are the person most feared of being judged, right? So when somebody on Facebook's, when someone, no gender specific here, says no drama, I'm a drama-free individual. I just refuse to put up with drama. Mm-hmm. What? I am so sorry. But you are a freaking drama magnet, and you've got it all over the place. And yeah, it's the same when somebody stops smoking. Good example, bad example. When somebody stops smoking, they start telling you that it's been 10 weeks, 10 days, 10 months, 10 whatever. They're still a smoker, because they're still identifying as a smoker. A person who quits smoking and no longer smokes, it wouldn't even, you know what I mean? Maybe if you asked them a tight, defined question, they might give you the answer, but they would have to sit there and calculate it in their head, because they don't even know, and they don't care, because they're no longer a smoker. They're no longer a drinker. They no longer do drugs. They just quit and moved on, right? So, yes, I feel like this might just be relevant here too, right? And that's the person who's overweight finds another person who's overweight and goes to the gym with them, right? A smoker finds another smoker, and then they decide to quit smoking together. An unsuccessful business owner finds an unsuccessful business owner, and guess what? They try to build a successful business together, right? If you're fat and out of shape and not going to the gym, hopefully that doesn't upset anyone, you need to go find somebody like Road Dogg who goes to the gym. There could be a freaking hurricane coming through, and he's going to find a way to either go to the gym, or he's going to say, come to my house and work out. And then he's going to say, look, you're locked in your house. I'm locked in my house. I love working out with you. Let's turn on, you know what I mean? Let's do it via FaceTime. And we'll sit there. We'll tell after every, set, we'll tell a stupid joke to one another. You know what I mean? Like, because you're working out. Road Dogg is not taking a day off. When you call him and say you got the sniffles, he just doesn't care. You know what I mean? He's just not. But the person who's not used to going to the gym is like, oh my gosh, you got the sniffles. Oh, you look. No, do not go to the gym. Whatever you do, don't go to the, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, give me that. That's the person you don't want to be working out with. The same way that a successful entrepreneur knows, again, you don't like a difference between a successful entrepreneur and a successful one and a non-successful one is often the successful one doesn't bring their personal crap to work, and the unsuccessful one takes all their personal crap to work, right? So you have a bad day, you have a fight with your wife, you have a challenge, you got an issue, you're worried about a trip to the doctor to do. The successful business owner just shows up and gets the job done. The end, right? Anyways, I don't know. You absolutely.
Can I just add there, Carl? I also think it's funny because it's like the person that's starting to work out will look at the person that's so committed and they will be triggered by some of the, probably a lot of the stuff that they do. How could they possibly do this? It's in that trigger that is probably your greatest lesson of things that you need, that you deep down know you need to be doing, but it's just you're fighting it.
Shoots. Yes. And yeah, if you've ever been to Tony Robbins, right? And again, I know some people love Tony Robbins and some people don't. He's becoming a little less in vogue, whatever. Like the guy's got unbelievable content, in my opinion. And it just, you know what I mean? I think just take the bad and throw it out and just accept the good. But you know what? Do whatever the hell you want, right? But like Carl Jung is a higher level thinker than Tony Robbins without question. But I got to tell you, Tony Robbins got some great stuff. Anyways, you're at an event with Tony Robbins or some other person that really, really legit knows what they're doing. And then he does like an intervention or he like gets two people to put up their hand. And it's at the end of it, you're like, oh my gosh, how did he create that dynamic? Right? Let me tell you, he can just tell, right? Like as an example, he will say, who, like one girl, stands up and she's kind of like, she's kind of like taking her ear and bouncing it off her shoulder and going, oh my gosh, everything's so great. It was so great. And then he'll ask a question that will clearly allow him to see who is annoyed by this individual who is so happy for no particular reason. Let's just say that, right? Well, that's it. So the person that's most enthusiastically putting up their hand, you know what I mean, is the person that he then does the little back and forth with, right? Like, because he can just tell, so that those little judgment, like you're exactly right. The person trying to work out sees the person who's working out too much. And then, or the person who doesn't have money sees the person with money and goes, oh yeah, he's always working and he has no time for his family, right? And it's like, is that true? The answer is maybe, but generally it's an absolute assumption that is completely wrong, the same way that the person that doesn't go to the gym sees the person that goes to the gym all the time and gets triggered by it. So yes, and yes, be careful.
Can I give you real quick, and then we're gonna wrap here. One of my favorite things, I was on a hot seat with Garrett J. White, and Garrett is a very outspoken individual. Love him or hate him, a lot of people don't like Garrett. He does very, very well. And Garrett says to me, Christian, the reason that you're triggered is because I am on the outside that you wish you could be, because that is who you are on the inside. And I was like, oh my God. Because one of my biggest fears is truly just expressing myself. And just, I get triggered by when I see people that just do it so easily. And that was just like, he had me right there. I was like, wow, that was unbelievable.
Let me say this again. You are on the, because so you just define outside as in
personality, outgoing. So he said, I am on the outside what you are on the inside.
Oh, wow. And that's triggering for you.
Well, because I've always, because I see myself as this very outgoing individual, but yet I'm not. I keep blocking myself from doing it. And it's just, when I see people like Garrett that just do it so easily, and even like a Sean Whalen, and regardless, because Sean's whole thing is, you're going to be judged either way. You're going to be judged for being the loud guy, or you're going to be judged for being the quiet guy. You're going to be judged either way. Choose, right? So it does, if you know that, just act. And that's also a very powerful one for me. Because no matter what you do, right? People, you get super fit. Oh, he's on roids. He's on this. He's on that. Or, well, you can get judged that way. Or, boy, that guy's fat. And you're going to be judged for that too. So how do you want to be judged? It's interesting.
It reminds me of, I can't remember quite how to, so the person who wants to express themselves on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, etc., that doesn't, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not that you're scared to post, or it's not that, no, it's not that you don't have the post in you that you could easily pump out every single day. It's this, it's that you are scared to be seen.
Yep.
You're scared to be seen. And remember, in this, you're not scared to fail. You're scared to have others watch you fail. Is of the same family, right?
So anyway, again, that's another identity thing, right? Where you haven't taken on the identity. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. We started with that, right? Like, so in order to start posting on a daily, the other thing is, you go and put a post up, you know what I mean? And you get, 10 likes and 2 comments. And let's assume that you think that's lame, right? Like, because everybody else is getting, 100, and you feel, you know what I mean? Like, that's you. You know what I mean? Your identity isn't strong enough, and that you are not, like, you know what I mean? You got to strengthen your identity that you are the person that posts something motivational and educational and awesome every single day on social media, because you don't do it for you. You don't do it for the likes. You don't do it for the comments. You don't do it for your ego. You don't do it for your status. You do it because you know the people reading it will be moved by it. And by the way, very importantly, the lurkers, like, let me tell you, you put a post and there's 100 people who like it and there's 20 comments. And let's assume that post gets you a $50,000 client. That client will not be in the comments, and will not, and probably not be the person who liked it, and definitely not the person who heard of it.
Yep.
It will be somebody who's lurking. So the money in the lurkers is crazy, 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 crazy. So again, what's your identity? You know what I mean? Are you scared to be seen, or do you refuse not to post because the information you're going to deliver is that valuable? Beautiful segue, man. That identity times 10 there.
Well, and we just came with your next book title, The Money is in the Lurkers. So that's perfect. It's perfect. All right, buds. Close us out. What's one thing? Maybe I'll guide you in this one. What's one thing that our listeners can take to help get more clear on their identity and truly who they are, to allow them to build the dream business and help as many people as possible?
Okay. Answer is the same as I kind of, would you agree that would take a little bit, like, let's just say it's Road Dog that wants to do it, right? Yep. Road Dog would have to do some coaching with Road Dog. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. How do we coach? 2 points, man. 1, little red arrow, you are here. And let's just call him Dave, possibly dangerous Dave from my emails. Maybe my drunk aunt who could use a little bit of extra coaching. No, I'm not going to continue on that thought. Anyways, little red arrow, you are here. So we called him Dave. Dave needs to, is he outgoing? Is he introvert? Is he an extrovert? Is he XYZ? Where's he at? What's his current identity is what we're trying to do. Is he a big thinker? Is he a little thinker? Is he lost in the tactics and not thinking strategy, therefore not even close to identity? Remember, the biggest hack is a level of thinking. It's not a strategy. It's not a tactic. It's not a thing. It's a level of thinking, right? So little red arrow, you are here. Let's call that LA. And you got to, and very hard to do is to establish a credible little red arrow, you are here, for the individual trying to strengthen their identity. Now what we got to do is we got to define the destination. Let's call that New York. And again, you got it. The tighter you can define it and describe it, and time frame on it, the better chance you got at doing it. So that's what you got to do. Whenever you're coaching a business owner, a chiropractor, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, it's Road Dog having a conversation with Road Dog. It's me, coaching myself, which again, I do that lots. I just start with that little red arrow. You are here. destination, and then all of the coaching is in between. And the magic of it is that when let's just assume we're in a car and we defined LA, we got a GPS, we got to find LA and we define New York. If we legitimately have, taken those 2 points to a decent, they don't need to be exact, but they need to be close. There's no accident, detour, mudslide, snowstorm, road conditions, road closure that can stop me from getting to New York. It might delay me and it might be painful and I might have to go way out of my way and then get back on track. But when I have tightly defined New York properly, it's really, really easy. It's really, really easy to do. So that being said, the most difficult thing you will ever do is define what you want. And that's the most difficult thing you will ever do for your coaching client. Remember, when I ask somebody what they want, they start rattling off the things they don't want with ridiculous predictability. So it's really, really hard to do. So I don't want to make out defining LA and New York is really easy. It's definitely not going to be easy for you to do it as an individual whilst trying to strengthen your identity or with your business owners. But if you were to ask me how I'm going to coach, I get a chiropractor and they're doing a schmill, they're doing $1 million of gross revenues. They got 20% margins, making 200 grand a year. And the guy wants to jack up his, net profit up to 500 grand. And he gives me 2 years to do it. Okay, let's get to work. First of all, so let's just assume that is a little red arrow. You are here and a good establishment of where they want to get to. And it would be significantly more convoluted than that because I would need to understand how many kids, what age they are, his commitments, his work schedule, his level of drive, his hunger, blah, 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 blah. But that's what I would do is I would establish those 2 points and then help them get there. And by defining tightly, and of course we have software that help you do this, by defining tightly where we're going to help them get to, just so much, it becomes almost fundamental, but hard work, but fundamental to get there. LA, New York. How'd I do, Shoots? That's what I would say.
I want you to write this down because I think this is something we can maybe talk about next week. And that is how many business coaches legitimately have the conversation of what do you want? Besides, I want to grow. I want to make more revenue. I want more. But those are just, they're and not being clearly defined. Like I wonder how many people are actually having those, and then clearly going, where are you legitimately now?
Yeah. Well, Shoots, I 100% agree. And I'm going to go, what they're not doing it. You got to do it like the best coaching, if you want to build a product, okay, build a product that you would use. And then, you know what I mean? That is a good product that is going to go to the market. You know what I mean? Right. So what did I just say? But no, you need to coach you. You know what I mean? Like, so not only are they not doing it with their business owners, they're not doing it with themselves. And there's your starting point, right? A little red arrow, you are here, define LA, define New York, and guide yourself towards it. Remember, your best coaching client is you 5 years ago, right? And then go help somebody who's 5 years your junior. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's, I don't think they're doing it for themselves, shit. So I would agree they're not doing it with business owners, but I think they should also do it for themselves. So that's
I think that's a great conversation that we should have next time. And what an unbelievable cliffhanger for people that are going to tune in next week.
Bachelor, get your heart out, Shoots.
There it is. Well, thanks everybody for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man of the hour. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and say the man of the year, King Carl. Like, there it is. And if you're not on the inside and getting access to the pre-show, or you just aren't getting Carl's daily emails, or you just want more information how to build, grow, and scale your coaching company, go to focused.com and subscribe today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, hey, please share it. And also leave us a review. We love seeing the reviews, and we love that it helps us in the standings. Let's be honest here. And that is it for another week. We will see you with that really hot topic conversation next time. Remember, everybody, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Carl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.